is our very first ever collective. This is the very first time I've ever done this. So I'm going to tell you a wee bit about me as we go through the process, but I think this is part of, you know, could potentially become something really exciting. And what I thought about was the kind of warrior to warrior. This is about real change, not just doing a one-off webinar. This is about investing some time in your own kind of self-development. And something that I've done a lot of is self-development, as well as being a therapist. So I really hope that I can share the kind of gifts of those skills with you. So what's on the agenda for this evening? So I'm going to tell you a wee bit about me. Now, I know there's some people here that are familiar with me, that have done some work with me. And there is brand new people here, you know, that have just came and signed up, and I don't think they knew very much about the talking rooms or what we were doing at all. So I also want to bring a wee bit more Nicola to the agenda tonight. You know, not just Nicola the therapist, but you know, the kind of journey that I've been on in the last kind of 10-15 years to become a bit of a warrior as well, because I was also a bit of a warrior. Then we're going to talk about worries, right? So the kind of good place to start are, what are worries? Why do we have them? How do they serve us? What can we do about them? And then the next part of the day, the session will be on self-care. So, you know, you probably hear people talking about self-care, but a lot of people don't really understand necessarily what it is and for what reason should you be doing it in a consistent manner. And I'm also going to do a bit of a guided meditation with you, and I'll explain the reasons why we're going to do that and how that will help you. And I invite you to just, you know, sit back, get comfy, relax, enjoy. If you've got questions, I can see the chat box, which is great. So if something happens, if you drop out, if something sticks, or just drop me a wee message and I should be able to see it as we're going along. So that's what's on the agenda now. I'd said kind of 60, 90 minutes. I think an hour will probably be enough unless there's a kind of Q&A at the end. We can have a wee Q&A if you've got any questions, you know, just generally maybe things that you're concerned about that maybe we can address in this kind of forum as well. So hopefully I want to create a really supportive community of people, and also kind of impart my learning skills and knowledge to you so that you can utilise them as well. So hopefully that sounds good for the agenda. So let's see. Before we go on to talking about all the other stuff on the agenda, I just want to invite you just now to sit and think about how you feel in this moment right now. So, you know, are you really relaxed and chilled, or are you, you know, feeling quite stressed and anxious? Or are you feeling really happy? What are the feelings that are predominant for you at the moment, are dominating your kind of day mood right now? And then I want you to, once you've identified that, I want you to think about 0 to 10. So 10 being the most you've ever felt it. So if you're feeling as anxious, 10 is the most anxious you've ever felt, or 0 not anxious at all. So on your pen and paper, just write down what the feeling is and what the number is. And hopefully what I can demonstrate tonight is utilising, you know, information and tools to bring these feelings down, because you can learn how to moderate these things. Okay, so hopefully, has everybody managed to capture their kind of feeling and their number? Yeah, all good here. Okay, that's excellent. Good, excellent. Let's hopefully see if we get some reduction on here. So a wee bit about me. Again, as I said, there's some people in here that haven't had any interaction with me, so I don't want to assume anything that you do or do not know. But this is me, and this is my 2 bambinos. But this picture was exactly 10 years ago. And the reason I selected this picture was because about 10 years ago was when I made a real big shift and a big change. On the face of it, you know, I was really, you know, kind of happy, 2 lovely kids. However, I was in a job that was creating really, really high levels of stress. I was in a relationship that was causing high levels of stress. I just wasn't really that happy. And, you know, oh, gorgeous babies. Well, they're pretty grown up now, another 10 years on them. So, you know, the thing was, I needed to change. And actually, during that time, I suffered really badly with anxiety and depression, to the point where I had a panic attack on the motorway. I thought I was having a heart attack. And I had to stop the car in the middle of the motorway, so really super dangerous. And from that day forward, I said something has to change. So fast forward 10 years, I've completely changed careers. I've started a new business. The Talking Rooms is one of them. You know, I retrained. I left a relationship and I found a good relationship with myself, something I hadn't had my whole life. I found love. And I did life my way. I started to create a life that I was happy in, a life that I was proud in, and a life that felt like mine. And that took a lot of different stuff. So not just training as a therapist, but also, you know, really investing that time and energy into myself to kind of really discover who I was, what was about, what was my why. So I'm really passionate about helping people to find that out for themselves. And I can honestly say, as much as that sounds like, well, that's 10 years, that's a lot. The point I'm kind of making is no matter where you are in your life at this moment in time, it's only one step that you need to take. That's it in terms of change. So if worrying is your biggest kind of concern and issue, then this is something that you're doing for yourself, for change as well. So I'm 41. Oh, hang on. I'm 41 now. I know I don't look it. And I don't see this changing for me. I don't see me stopping my own development. I constantly want to learn, and I also want to share that knowledge with you. So that's a wee bit about me. My children will kill me for using that picture, but hey ho. So I am also probably what I should say for those guys, you guys that don't know me. So I am the managing director of the Talking Rooms. And the Talking Rooms is a counselling and CBT centre. I'm a cognitive behavioural psychotherapist as well as a counsellor. I work in schools with young people, and I work directly one-to-one. I do also group work on resilience training. So that's, again, helping young people get to know themselves. I also work in private practice and the clinic in East Kilbride, and currently all online. So that's a wee bit about some of the stuff we do. We've got a brilliant team. We started the organisation 2 years ago, and it's really about empowering as many people as we can. The focus was always on young people, but I wanted to kind of spread this a wee bit wider, just because of what's happening at the moment. So if we can help people, you know, feel better and manage their anxieties and their worries. So anyway, I could rant all day, but that's a wee bit about me. So let's see. Now I'm going to go on to talk about worry, but before I talk about worry, I'm going to talk about the kind of basics of mental well-being. Now, I don't know where you're at. I don't know how much work that you've done to this point. So I didn't really want to assume anything. I wanted to kind of just cover all the bases. So when we're talking about well-being as a general thing, as well as mental well-being, we have to look at what are the foundations, that kind of solid base. And I liken it to building your house on sand, right? So if you don't look after the basics, that's what it's like. It's going to erode and it's not going to be able to cope with life. So having a solid foundation is somewhere to build from. And the reason I brought this up also is it's probably the first thing to go when we become stressed or the situation changes. So this is the simple stuff. This is the basic, you know, sleep, what you eat, drinking water, exercising and looking after your mood. So the focus of today's session is really going to be about how do you look after your mood and some tools to use for that. But that's a solid foundation that you really need. So if you have a really poor diet, for example, it's the first thing I do when I'm working one-to-one is we look at everything like that. What are you eating? So for example, you know, if you drink 3 or 4 cans of Red Bull or Monster or something like that a day and you're kind of feeling like you're suffering from anxiety, you could just be intaking too much caffeine. Or if you know, have like a diet with no kind of vegetables or fruit in it, then your nutritional needs are not, so your vitamin levels will deplete, which will also start to make you feel tired and lethargic. So that's really important, as is sleep. And everybody that knows me knows how much I love my bed and I love my sleep. But I wasn't always like that. I used to, really struggle with sleep actually. And that's something that took a long time to overcome. And that was again to do with anxiety and worry. But now I sleep like a baby. Exercise, yeah, again, really important. Again, I know we're kind of limited to what we can do at the moment. We can't hit the gym, but there's things that we can do in terms of just keeping our bodies moving. It's really good. Your physiology, your body moving is really good for the mind. And I'm going to talk a wee bit more in depth about mood and the kind of what we can do to create our happy hormones when we go through this a wee bit more. So that's the solid foundations. That's how you build, that's where you build from. So if you're having problems with your sleep or any of these bits, that's the first bit to tackle, is get the water into you, start eating well, start looking at your sleep hygiene. And again, we'll talk about these things in a wee bit more detail as we go through the kind of collective process. But, sleep hygiene in a summary is, like no screen time before, an hour before bed, relaxing the body into a state of sleep, no caffeine, that kind of stuff. That's really important to feel rested, because then the brain has recharged. So I always bang on about it. And if that bit is not, flexible, or there is no change there, then the other stuff's going to be really hard to get on board. Does that make sense? I hope so. Let's see. Okay, just checking in. Is everybody still here? Still got everybody live on here. Brilliant. Okay, so this is my water, but I'm not a big fan of water. So what I do is I have a little bit of diluting juice in it. So if you struggle with water, that's also all right. Sometimes I'm really fancy and I put like a lemon and lime in it, but I don't have anything like that today. So let's talk about what worry is. I think at the moment, lots of people are worrying because of what's happening. It's been a very intense 7 weeks, very, very intense 7 weeks. And it creates an environment where worrying becomes commonplace, because not only are you internally worrying, every conversation you're having is worrying, every piece of media that you're consuming is worrying. But what essentially worrying is, it's just a form of thinking. And it's kind of delivered like self-talk. So how you start to think about, the way to best start thinking about this is when you hear yourself saying, what if? So in your mind, when you start to worry, what if? And what your mind is doing is starting to create kind of catastrophic scenarios. So, it could be you start off with the thought, what if I get sick? And then what if I what if I give that to my family? What if I die? What if they die? So that's not going to create a place where you're going to feel calm, safe and comfortable, is it? Those thoughts, those what if thoughts are just thoughts. And something I'm going to say to you just now that's really important to know, thoughts are really, really powerful. And I'm going to tell you in the next 3-4 slides exactly what these thoughts are doing. But you have 70,000 thoughts a day. But when you are surrounded by negative, kind of fearful information, those worries grow, and those thoughts, it's almost like you can jump on the worry bus in the thought, and that's the one that you're going to hang on to, and then it starts to spiral. So the thought becomes uncontrollable, and once it's spiraled to the what if I die bit or something really catastrophic, then it loops. So it just goes round and round in a loop. So that's what I call your stress loop. So you're in the what if thinking, that started to spiral to the very worst case scenario, and then it's looping. So what the kind of mind is trying to do, it's trying to find a way to kind of assert some sort of control in a situation or a thought that's uncertain. And there's all sorts of things that are at play for you on a personal level that contribute to that. And we will go much more deeper into the kind of how thoughts are generated in terms of your belief systems and what meaning you make of certain things. However, what I want to do tonight is really give you a good kind of overview of what is actually happening in your mind. What you're really trying to do, what your mind is trying to do, is solve a problem, but it's trying to solve a future event problem. So we don't have any facts. This is not necessarily a real worry. But what then happens is this fuels your anxiety response, and that then creates stress, And what we've done is we've disturbed ourselves. So we've started in a thought, what if? We've created an anxiety response, which I'm going to go into again in more detail in the next slide. And then we've created stress in our bodies and our minds, and we've disturbed ourselves. So it's really important to actually learn about this what if and this catastrophizing, this type of thinking. Does that sound familiar to anybody just now? Is that the type of kind of stuff that's going on for you? Let's see if anybody's in the wee chat box. And yep. Okay. So that will be, Nikki, yeah, absolutely. You know, that what if thinking is also in your case self-preservation. So you're trying to control the future elements to kind of keep yourself safe. So this is really key to understand. And one of the things I'm going to say is don't expect this to change overnight, right? This takes a bit of work because you've been probably thinking this way for a long time. I know I certainly was. And seeing things in this way, first of all, becoming aware of it and then making the changes. You can change the neural pathways in your brain. It takes work, but it's definitely doable. So you won't always have to think like this. So if you're committed to the cause, you can totally do it. So let's talk about the top causes. I was actually pulling this presentation together from something I'd done a wee while ago, and all the same worries came up. It's just that everything's happening at once just now. So these are the kind of three kind of big stressors: work stress, life stress, psychological stress. If you think about what is happening just now, actually all of those things are at play right now, I think, for probably most people. I know certainly when I was looking at going through it, absolutely this is all the same kind of stress that I think most people are experiencing, at least one really strong form of that at the moment. So if you think about work worry, you know, this was written actually prior to what happened, but you know, just now there's lots of uncertainty, isn't there? You know, around you know, job security. Well, you know, maybe you've been furloughed, maybe you've been made redundant, maybe you're still working. You know, there's uncertainty around you know, money and stuff like that to do with your job. So that kind of insecurity. Now, you might have also not really been that happy in your job. You might have been working long hours. You might have been insecure about your kind of promotion abilities. You might have been experiencing other kind of stress in the workplace. You might have a boss that discriminates against you or is harassing you. That was certainly the issue that I had in my previous role. So lots of things can happen at work, and then throw into the mix now we've got a global pandemic, and you know, you might have to work from home, and you might have to work from home. You've got young children at home, or you've never worked from home before. So you know, tech is these are all new kind of skills that you're having to learn. That creates a lot of stress within you as well. So I know there's somebody here tonight that's got two young kids at home as well, and I know working really hard to try and find that balance. That in itself is quite stressful, to do your normal job and do all the other stuff like schooling people and feeding people and parenting, and especially if you're, you know, on your own or partners are out at work. So yeah, work stress that's a big thing at the moment. Add into this life stress, right? So just now, you know, I know there's people here that have lost people, particularly during, you know, this pandemic. But generally, as we go through life, we do tend to lose people. You know, relationships break up, divorce, you know, potentially losing jobs. You know, really taking, you know, you might have been in a situation where you had a lot of financial obligations. Taking care of people or trying to take care of people at the moment, you know, who are maybe locked down or are locked, what was the word I'm looking for, not self-isolating, or shielding even. So, you know, these can be really worrying factors as well. Like, you know, this is a huge kind of traumatic event that's happening in the world. And it's happening to everyone, and it's affecting everybody slightly differently. So that's a huge life worry, and another thing that can be a stressor. And then the psychological part of that. So this is what's the kind of internal part, if you like. So the fear and uncertainty. This is something that I've always felt really passionately about. This, I don't watch the news for this reason. CNN, I call it constantly negative news. Before the pandemic, news was always like this. It was always, fear-inducing, and that is, people are absolutely consumed by the media just now. So if you're watching the news and then you're on Facebook and then you're watching the updates and then you're, engaging in conversations online about this, you're feeding that fear and uncertainty within your mind. So, being mindful of that, obviously stay up to date in what's happening. But what I do is I get myself 5 or 10 minutes to kind of read what I need to know about that, the day's activity, and that's it. And I don't want to talk about it with everybody that I have a conversation with, because I've got other interesting things to talk about as well. Let's see. Oh, I've just realised how dark it is in here. Let's see, is that a wee bit better? Maybe marginally. Let's see, just seen that on the screen there. Well, that might be better. So psychological worries, also things like attitudes and perceptions. So you might have seen a big change either in yourself or in others at the moment. So you can see this tension in people when you go to the supermarket or you're in a shop. Usually I would put this, like, people that sweat the small stuff, somebody cuts you up in the motorway and you get really raging about it. You're disturbing yourself here. But now what's happening is people in shops shouting at you that you're not exactly 2 metres away from them. So that can create, a sense of disturbance within yourself as well. Oh, this is a good one. Unrealistic expectations. So this situation in particular, but in life in general, I think, oh man, we give ourselves such a hard time, don't we? And, we have these really unrelenting standards for ourselves that we have to be perfect, we have to do this and we have to do that. And it's just not realistic. It's totally not realistic for anybody to do the right thing all of the time. But putting yourself under that kind of pressure, that's not going to leave you feeling relaxed and calm, is it? No, exactly. Something I would say about you, right? So me, you, everybody, we're all different. So some people can take a lot of stress. Some people can really absorb quite a lot. Oh, hang on. What's happening here? Let's see if I can go back. Some people can really absorb a lot of stress, and some people's tolerance to stress is quite small. And that again is to do with lots of different things, how you grew up, the way you grew up, how you were kind of modelled stress. There's also biological connections to stress. There's stuff that goes actually back to like grandparents, like your DNA, if they were stressed, lives on within you. So there is lots of different elements. That's why people do respond differently to stress levels. But if you find yourself kind of always feeling a wee bit on the edge, like on the back foot, like kind of ready to kind of spring up, then it's probably because you're in a high state of stress. I also know just now for everybody that change probably will be on your plate. Just like those kind of life and work things, there is major changes at play, and that is stressful. So that there literally hasn't been a more important time, certainly not that I can think of in my lifetime, for us to really take care of ourselves here. That there is a lot of stress going on, and you might have arrived here before this stuff happened with a whole bunch of stuff of stress before this. So it's stress on top of stress. So I really want to take care of you and attend to that. So what happens? So remember I said, when we start this thought process, we start the worrying, then we activate the anxiety response, right? So this is known as fight or flight. Now, a couple of interesting things to note here, right, is that when your brain is thinking, so when you're worrying and you start to create those what if scenarios, now you might talk them, you might hear them as words, you might visualize that. Your brain can't distinguish between whether that's real or imagined, right? So it starts to prepare for what it needs to do in this situation. So if the thought is that, I'm going to die, then your brain is like, I need to get out of here. Like, I can't stay here. I need to go. So it starts to create, it activates what's called your amygdala, right? That's your threat system. That's part of the old brain, the reptilian brain. but it activates this threat system in this part of the brain, in the amygdala. But that has a huge physiological response in your body. All sorts of stuff happens here. Now, if you think about your fight or flight, you kind of still need it, right? It's not maybe needed for the kind of things that we're responding to in a certain way, but it's there designed to keep you safe, essentially. The kind of, if you think about, I said the reptilian brain, but it kind of goes back to the time when we were, hunter gatherers, looking for food, sleeping, in vulnerable positions. So it was, if an animal was trying to attack us, like a lion is chasing you, you want to be able to be activated to kind of get away from that lion or tiger. So that's what the system was designed for in your brain, was to kind of keep you safe. However, the world has moved at such a pace that when this is triggered like the same way as if a tiger's like chasing you, but you've just had a thought about dying, but your body reacts the same way. So that's why you sometimes might feel like absolutely shattered, because you might be in this response quite a lot. So what does this response do? What does it feel like? And it's fairly consistent, but some people go into fight, or some people go into fight or flight. Did I say that right way there? I think so. There is other elements to this, right? So there's flight, or freeze. It's easy for you to say. And fawn, right? So but I'm not going to get into them in too much detail just now, because there's a lot of psychology attached to these things. But what I want to tell you about is the kind of biological responses to these thoughts and how powerful your mind is. Because once you understand how powerful your mind actually is, then you can change how your body responds, because you can start interrupting the thought processes. What's really interesting is one of the things that happens when your body is when your threat system is activated, is this represses your immune system. So actually being stressed is not good for you. It's particularly now when we're talking about our immune system, being able to fight off viruses and things like that. We want our immune system to be absolutely flourishing. So that, I'm just going to move this over a wee bit. Okay. Oh, you can see that. That would be good. Let's see if I can put that over here like that. So, your heart, that's usually the first thing people notice, is the heart starts to beat really fast. And what that's doing is it's sending lots of blood out into the extremities, into the hands, into the feet, because it's getting ready to fight or flight, so that it needs lots of energy for that. You might start to notice that you start sweating, and what you're starting to do is that within the lungs, you're kind of shallow and faster breathing. So the body's really preparing for that. And you might be familiar when somebody's maybe having a panic attack. That's how you might see that kind of manifest. What's really important is what happens hormonally here. So cortisol and adrenaline start pumping into your system. So that is stress hormones, essentially. So they're hormones that are pumping through your bloodstream, making all this stuff happen, all because we had a thought. How crazy is that? Did you know that? Let's see. Oh. And also, yeah, your pancreas. So, like, everything is in overdrive here. So this fight or flight response is kind of what we want to get into check, right? So I've put here a wee bit more. So this is the next level of what is happening in your body right now. I'm not going to give you a biology lesson, but the simple way to think about it. There we go. So I type one. There you go. Okay, so so the diabetes and the fight or flight is, so looking after that soothe system is vital to health, absolutely vital to health. So let's simplify it, right? So what we're talking about is two systems, a threat system and a soothe system. So the technical name for this is your sympathetic and your parasympathetic system. But I'm going to talk about them as your threat and your soothe, because I think that's a wee bit easier to say and a bit easier to remember. So, that what if thought is triggered your anxiety response, and then it's triggered your threat system. So all that stuff's happening. But you've also got another system called your parasympathetic, right? So that's your soothe system. So see when you're not stressed and you're relaxed, that starts to take down all those things. So then the stress hormones are not being produced, the body starts to relax, the lungs can relax, which is really, again, important with all this stuff that we're talking about just now. Being relaxed feels a wee bit strange when you're stressed, doesn't it? And you've got to work kind of hard at it. And usually when we're in a state of stress, we just keep being in a state of stress until somebody says, are you all right? But actually, you know, it's kind of your duty now that I'm imparting this information to you, that this is something that you're going to work on. This is something that you're going to help change your own kind of thought process and your biological responses, because you have two systems here. You can choose which one you want to have activated, and if the threat system is activated, you can easily bring back your relaxed system. And I'm going to show you a couple of tools in terms of how to do that. Let's see. I want to talk a wee bit about how all this affects you, right? And this is probably, this is the first time I've presented this information in this way, but I think it's really important to understand that, you know, your mind is really, really powerful, and what you feed it, your mind, in terms of your thoughts and what you allow it to kind of run away with, it does have an impact. So, for example, if you're feeling stressed, these are the kind of things just now that you might be experiencing. So headache, feeling tired, you know, just that kind of fatigue, body fatigue, having difficulty sleeping, being easily upset, you know, problems with your stomach, or just general kind of irritability where, you know, you can just fly off the handle like that. That's you being in a state of stress. That's when you need to look after yourself. That's when we need to step in to activating that soothe system and taking care of self. However, something really important to note, if you have long-term stress, the likelihood of you developing a serious health condition is reality. So I think this is an important conversation, because when we start talking about things like relaxing and meditation, the processes that you need to follow in order to kickstart this soothe system, people are like, what do I need to do that for? Well, you want to protect what's going on inside your body, you know, to help lessen the effect of heart disease. Essentially, what stress creates is inflammation in the body, and it has a knock-on effect across the board. So it's really important, short-term stress, to get on top of it. Even if you've been experiencing this for a really long time, you're here, so you're going to start doing something towards that change as well, which is great. But yeah, people who are experiencing things like ulcers, kind of weight problems, depression, anxiety, these are all related to that system that's been activated by your old amygdala in the brain. So there's lots of research. This isn't just my opinion. There's, you know, a million different studies on this stuff. I don't know why people don't talk about it more often. I remember being quite flabbergasted when I sort of started to connect all these dots up. Okay, right, so IBS as well, absolutely. Inflammation in this area. So they actually say the stomach is the second brain, right? So there's lots and lots of, I forget the name for it, but there's a lot of communication happening here. If you've got problems with your stomach and your bowels, then there's inflammation there. So actually managing your stress is really, really key to change here. Now, on top of, you know, being all stressed, then we start developing unhelpful coping strategies. So we start thinking about ways to try and not feel so bad. So that might be things like just general avoidance, denial, or kind of just, the way I kind of like it is like just boxing it up, just going to put that away, or the big carpet of doom. Or also people use things, you know, substances, alcohol, drugs, weed, you know, just to kind of not feel. Now, everything here is going to have then another knock-on effect that actually creates more stress long term. So it might alleviate the kind of stress in that moment, but it's going to create something else. So, you know, one of the things that comes up a lot is people ruminating. And rumination is when you're kind of thinking about the past and, you know, things that you should have done, or you should have done differently, and real self-critical talk, and that just creates another worry loop that you jump into. So then that's like a figure of eight you've got going on there. So these are not helpful coping strategies, but what is a helpful coping strategy? Just what I'm saying, things that will activate this soothe system. So how do we soothe the body? What does the body actually need? Well, it needs to be in that parasympathetic system needs to be activated in order for your brain to be able to function and have rational thought processes. So things like breathing. Now, when I work with young people, they always laugh at me. I'm like, just remember to breathe. Like, what do you mean? People don't breathe. Like everybody's like, it's not nice big deep breaths. You know, it's so important to just take a moment to take that breath in. I'll share something. So I used to have a really unhealthy coping strategy of smoking cigarettes, and absolutely can't believe that I used to do that now. But they were the love of my life at the time, I can tell you that. And that was how I sort of psychologically told myself I coped with things. So I'd be like, oh, I'm away for a fag whenever the things got so stressful. And then I read this thing and it blew my mind. And it was about breathing. So actually what I was doing when I was smoking, I was taking big deep breaths in. So actually I was, as much as I was doing the nasty old horrible smoking thing, I was also taking in that nice deep breath to the lung. So I thought, well, if I take the cigarette away, if I take and I keep taking the deep breaths, will that help me manage stress? Aye, and it did. So I kept doing that, and that's how I stopped smoking. I smoked for 20 years. That was it, one day to the next. And I learned every time I felt like that stress is taking that deep breath. So, you know, addiction is also a coping strategy, an unhealthy coping strategy, but it's usually a kind of way of trying to manage your stress. Meditation is a great way of reconnecting with yourself. Mindfulness, meditation, all these kind of things. And again, I don't know where you are in terms of your own development, and I'm taking this I'm starting from the base. So you know, meditation is something that I incorporated in my life quite a long time ago. It's something that I do daily. I liken having that soothe system activated in your body to kind of like brushing your teeth. So I wouldn't brush my teeth just the once and then expect that I'll never get any cavities. So if I don't meditate every day, then I can't really expect to be able to cope when things get really stressful. So I invest in my own body and do the meditation. Now, people always feedback, I don't like meditating, no, it's not for me. Because what we're asking you to do is connect to yourself. We're asking you to take a minute and connect to yourself. Now, you will have all different kind of thought processes about, you know, no having time to do this, or, you know, other priorities. Well, here's a wee news flash for you. You're going to become a big priority in your own life from this day forward, okay? I'm just checking me too, totally helps me breathe. Yeah, okay, great. So the meditation is really, really important to creating that soothe system so that you don't have the stress. General kind of relaxation techniques, so something like a progressive muscle relaxation, which is when you go through each part of the body, you know, massage, Reiki, you know, I do it all, and that's all about keeping those kind of stress levels down. I actually like made a bit of a mistake with a friend of mine last week, and they were saying, oh, I'm feeling a bit stressed. And I said, well, why don't you try meditating? Oh, right, okay, I never thought about that. And I said, oh, I use this app. So there's an app called Insight Timer, which is free, and there's a lot of good meditations on it, and you kind of meditate as a collective worldwide, you know, if you're on a meditation together, and people say, thank you for meditating together, it's lovely. But what I didn't say was go for a guided meditation. So he just went and sat and pressed the thing, and it went ding, and sat for 10 minutes, then it went ding. And he says, well, I don't think I can do that again. And when he explained to me, I was like, oh God, no. I mean, even I struggle with non-guided meditation, to just sit in silence and be with yourself. I mean, that's, you know, essentially becoming mindful. But I think let's start with the connection to ourselves first before we jump into being Buddhist monks, right? So we're all right with this bit. Another coping strategy, which is really good, and a really good habit to get into, and it might be a good place to start right now, is start journaling. So I hope, you know, you've got not just a pen and paper, but, you know, invest in a nice book, a nice notebook for yourself. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've got a lot of notebooks, and I have worked my way through a lot of issues and problems through journaling, and just trying to see things through different perspectives. But again, rather than them becoming just places to vent and rant, they're places for kind of self-reflection and self-discovery. And again, as we go through this collective, I'll introduce tools that will help you with that process. So are we all good so far? Do we understand? So our thoughts are the what ifs. We create an anxiety response that creates stress in the body. Stress is global, so it really is about looking after yourself, how we cope, how we don't cope, how we don't cope well, how we can cope well, and this soothe and kind of threat system. Does that make sense to everybody? Are we kind of all singing for the same page? Let's get a wee drink here. It's quite hard with this blethering, you know. Right. Oh, somebody's raised a hand. I don't know how to deal with that. Can you type in the wee box, Amanda? Can you see that, the wee chat box? Oh, right, okay. I didn't mean it. Alan saying, is that the way? No, just a little diluting juice. Right, okay, well, I'm glad it's all making sense. Great. So, let's see. So, if you feel up to it, we're going to try our first wee meditation. So whatever you're kind of, where you started from at the beginning of all of this, what I'm going to do is show you how quickly you can activate your soothe system. And it's not necessarily about always having to be in a space of, I'm going to go lie down, I'm going to meditate. And I'll tell you a quick story before we go into this meditation. But as I say, I meditate a lot, but I also I'm a parent to two young people, one of which is a teenager and one is almost teenagers. So you can imagine what sometimes the household might be like. And I'm just going to read that wee chat in a wee second. And anyway, sometimes when I'm meditating, I hear the dulcet tones of my lovely children shouting, "Mom! Mom!" And through gritted teeth, I'll say, "I'm meditating." So I'm also very human, and you know, life is, you know, what it is. And you're living in a household with others, it's not always easy, but this particular meditation is somewhere that you can escape to pretty quickly without having to actually activate, you know, a going lying down in a big space feature. It's quite a quick meditation and something that you can kind of have around you to access at any time. So I'm just going to read this wee comment here. I personally like totally quiet no team silence. Oh, I absolutely hear you, Linda. Like, I'm the same. I don't talk to me in the morning. You know, like I just like to be nice and peaceful and to start the day and start my brain. I can't jump out of bed and start the day, and that's what creates stress for me. So it's about finding what works for you as well, isn't it? So let's have a wee look at this wee system. So this is called Safe Place. I don't know if anybody's used this before, but I'm going to just talk you through it. Now, I don't have a big fancy meditation voice. This is just how I sound. And it's not, I don't necessarily know that my voice is the most soothing. However, I'm going to just talk you through it just to give you a wee bit of an experience of it. And we can take that, excuse me, you can take what you kind of learn from this experience and maybe utilise that somewhere else. So what I'm going to do is invite you first of all to close your eyes. And if you feel safe enough to close your eyes, that'd be great. If you don't feel safe enough to close your eyes, what I would invite you to do is just find a wee spot on the floor or somewhere like where your eyelids will be lowered, and have a wee kind of look down. Just look down. You don't have to commit to closing your eyes. And then just get yourself kind of comfy in your chair. And then I just want you to take a nice big deep breath in and breathe out. And just do that 3 times. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. And what we're going to do now is create a place in our minds, a place to visualise somewhere that's peaceful, that's safe, that's calm. This place can be a place that you've been to before, it can be a place you've imagined, it can be a place you've seen, a place you've dreamed of going, a place you've seen a picture of. But it's somewhere in your mind, by yourself, that's peaceful, safe, and calm. And I want you to step into this place and look around. What do you see? What colours do you see? What shapes do you see? What else do you start to notice in this place that's peaceful, safe, and calm? Start to notice any sounds in this place, or is it silent? Are the sounds quiet? Are they far away? Are they close to you? And start to notice anything, any smells that you could notice. How does your skin feel here? What are your feet on? What's the temperature like? What can you feel on your skin? Can you feel any movement in the air? Is there anything else you can touch here? And I just want to invite you to notice in this safe, peaceful and calm place how you feel physically, how you feel in this body, in this place. And this is your peaceful, safe and calm, safe place. This is yours to come to anytime you like. You might even want to give it a name. And you can bring that image back at any time you need to feel peaceful, safe and calm. And you can choose to linger here a while, enjoy the peacefulness and the serenity. And just when you feel ready, you can open your eyes and bring yourself back into the here and now. Now, this is possibly the bit where everybody might have kind of nodded off a little bit. So I'll just check in and see if we've still got people awake. Hopefully. How did you find that? You absolutely needed that, Nikki, for sure. What I want you to do is check in with yourself. So I want you to think about that, that feeling that you had at the beginning of this work together and that rating that you gave it, so the 0 to 10, and I want you to do that again. I want you to rate and see if there's any notable difference. That was 90 seconds, 2 minutes of meditating. Has anybody noticed a reduction in their anxiety levels? Good, fab, excellent. Okay. Nice and relaxed. A lot calmer and smiley. Yay! Good, I'm so glad. So how easy was that? Right. Like, it wasn't, you were guided by me. YouTube is full of this stuff. It's all free. Insight Timer, all free. The internet is abundant with this stuff. And it doesn't need to be like, oh, I'm going to go meditate for an hour. Like, it can be a 5-minute job just to bring yourself down into another level. And the reason I use Safe Place, because I absolutely love it. I can shut my eyes, transport myself back there absolutely instantaneously. I'm there and I instantly feel calm and safe. And sometimes I have to use that right now when I'm trying to do these, you know, webinars and conversations and therapy. And, you know, I've got 2 kids that are fighting in the hallway. So I'm like, Safe Place. So I'm glad you've enjoyed it. So on to what can we do about worry. So the reality is, you know, this isn't, worry's not going anywhere, in the sense of the world is going to stop turning and we won't have anything to worry about. I can't do that for you. But worrying kind of does, it robs your joy when you're sitting in a space of constantly thinking about, you know, future hypothetical events and just feeling that kind of stress all the time. It takes away your joy. It's a negative emotion, and there's nothing wrong with negative emotions. They're there to tell you a story. But when we live in them, they're not really that great. So here's a wee tool for working with worry. Now, again, this all depends on where you're at in your own development. So again, don't want to assume where you're at. So the first thing, and this might be the biggest thing that happens for you this week, is you start noticing how you're thinking. So when you catch those what if thoughts, those catastrophic thoughts, that might be a huge big moment for you to start seeing where that change can be carried out. And then I want you to think about, what is it you're actually worried about? So what kind of, I'm getting caught up in the worrying. I'm starting to notice the kind of physiological responses to that. And then, you know, what is it that I'm worrying about? And here's 2 things that you can do. Can I do anything about this worry? You can only answer this yes or no. So can I do anything about this worry? So you can have a practical worry or a hypothetical worry. So when we're talking about a practical worry, what we're talking about is a real life event, like something that's actually happening. So I can't afford to pay my bills. Yes, it's a practical worry. I'm going to show you a tool to manage that. And then I'm going to show you a tool to do hypothetical worry. So that is if you cannot do anything about it. So that is that what if thinking. So what if I get sick? Or what if I die? What happens to my kids? Or what if I lose my job? That's hypothetical worry, and that is probably what takes up a big chunk of time, and that's creates a lot of stress for people. I'm conscious that this is probably going to run a wee bit over. Is that going to be okay, guys? Because I'm just, I feel like this is still important stuff to say. So I want to do these tools and a wee bit of self-care. So we might run a wee bit past an hour. It might run to the 90 minutes. So I hope that's okay for everybody. But I feel it's important. So I like to give lots of value here. So let's look at practical worry, these real life worries. So what you're looking at when you start identifying what you're thinking about, what you're worrying about, the question you ask yourself is, can I do something about this? And if the answer is yes, check upload. Okay, that's fine. It is recorded, Nikki, so you can come back to it. If the answer is yes, then what you want to do is create an action plan. So what you're trying to do is problem solve here. And it's what can I actually do, what, where, when, who. So this is going to sound like a really silly one, right? But I'll give you an example of mine. When all this stuff started, I started to worry about not being able to get my hair done because I have pure white hair. And I'm also in a relationship where I don't live with my partner, and he's never seen that I've got white hair. So I'm still pretending that I don't have white hair. And I started to worry about you know, this hair and not being able to get to the hairdressers, and what could I do about that. Now I actually sat on that for a good week or so, and my hair got white down to about here, and it was starting to have a bit of a knock-on effect. So I got my toolbox out. What do I do here? Yeah, what can I do? I can speak to my hairdresser. I can find out how to do this stuff. I can look up on YouTube. I can buy the stuff online. I can ask my daughter to help me do it. So I started to create a bit of an action plan of how I can do that. And I could do that relatively quickly, which was great. When you start to think about things like, I can't afford my bills, right? So say you need an action plan for that. Well, what bills are you talking about? Which bills can't you afford? Now, I know obviously that we're all in different situations here financially as well. So these are just examples. You know, everybody's got different types of things that they're worrying about. How will I manage my workload while I've got kids running about? Big, real practical worry for most people just now. And that is like, what do I need to do in order to manage my workload you know, where do I need to be, who do I need to involve, and when do I need to do that by. So it's just breaking down the problems into easy kind of manageable things. And what might happen is you start, if you're not a problem solver by nature, you might get a wee bit overwhelmed at this. So you might end up with kind of 3 or 4 or 5 different action plans for one problem. And the way to look at that is then look at the advantages and disadvantages of each of them to see which one seems like the better idea to kind of, the better plan to follow. So that's how you address practical worry, like actually getting really proactive and getting like taking action on that. That then eliminates the worry because you've dealt with it, and you've changed the focus of your attention. So worrying is really just about giving attention to those thoughts. That's what we're trying to do. So we're going to plan it, we're going to hear it, we're going to address it, we're going to put an action plan in place, and that's how it's changed our focus. So that side of the worry can go. Well, when we get into the hypothetical worry, so that kind of what if thinking, this is the big one, right? And what I'm going to say is a lot of information here, right? So this is a huge kind of problematic way of thinking for, I'd say, a good proportion of the public currently anyway. This kind of what if thinking. And it takes a bit of time to kind of get used to identifying what I'm thinking about and then dispersing it. Is it something I can do something about, or is it something I can't do something about? So if I can't do something about it, it's because it's hypothetical, it's future-based problem solving you're trying to do here. You don't know what's going to happen. So what you want to do is postpone these worries. So if they're, remember I was talking about that kind of figure 8 or those loops that are continuing on, what we want to do is postpone those worries. So we're not going to not worry, we're not going to push them away because they're there, they're real, we need to deal with them. But we're going to deal with them on our terms, right? We're not going to let this worry take us over and start creating all these physiological reactions in our body. No, we're going to take charge of this. I'm going to say, right, I'm going to give you your worry, but you're going to get a set amount of time every day and I'll attend to that. So this is a way of your brain rationalising some of your worries. So it's having a wee kind of internal dialogue with yourself. So a good way to do this is prepare yourself for this, right? So invest 15 minutes a day, half an hour a day, it depends on what kind of level of worrying you're doing. And set aside that time and set a timer for it. You know, this is going to be my worry time. That's what you're going to call it. And there's an app, it's down here, Reach Out Worry Time. I'm going to send this to you in the email follow-up, so you can download that, or you can, again, get in your notebook things that you're worried about, write in there what you're worried about. It's good to get a place where you won't be disturbed if you can, and just really indulge yourself. Like what I say is like, go tonsil with your worries, like 15 minutes, like worry yourself absolutely stupid. But that's it. Once that timer goes off, that's it. There's no more worrying allowed. Okay. How did I do that, Nicola? If it was that easy, and I'd have done this ages ago. Well, remember what I said, we're retraining the brain. So this is going to feel clunky, it's going to feel hard, it's going to feel weird. But if you keep doing it, it's like brushing your teeth, okay? You keep doing it, this is going to start getting easier. You create a new neural pathway in your brain, and this is going to change your life. You won't live in this state of worry. So how do I postpone? So if you start noticing, you know, I'm going to have my worry time at 7 o'clock tonight, but it's lunchtime and I've started to think about what if, right? So bring yourself back into the here and now. If you catch yourself in that thought, what am I doing here? So we're going to call this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. To take your mind somewhere else, you want to think about 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. That's took the brain somewhere else. It can't be in the same place at the same time. If the worry still is kind of circling, write it down. So put it in your app, put it on your bit of paper, and you say to yourself, I'm not going to deal with you just now, but I'm going to attend to you later. I'll engage in this worry. And that's kind of almost sets a wee bit of a soothe system into the body to say, right, oh, that's all right, I'll get that worry, I'll get looked at later. So that's really important, right? So there's 2 things: preparing, committing, setting aside that time, but also bringing your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in, right? So 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste, is redirecting the mind from the worry. And if that doesn't work, then write the worry down and tell it you're going to attempt it later. And then attempt it, make sure you sit down for that 15 minutes at that time or whatever suits you. And use the time that you've allocated to the worry, because what will start maybe happening is that thing that you worried about at 12 o'clock, at 7 o'clock no longer matters, but you could have spent 7 hours worrying about that. And that's a waste of time, and it's also a creation of all those stress hormones in your body about something that didn't actually really matter. So the what if scenarios is, this is one tool. There is quite a lot of tools for hypothetical worry, but as well as the kind of meditation for your soothe system, this is a practical mind tool essentially to look at your thinking, and then once you become aware, then set aside some time to do the worrying, and then take that out of your everyday. Take the practice, keep doing it, don't expect too much of yourself. This is new, so creating a new pathway in your brain takes a bit of work, okay, so a wee bit of consistency. But if you do this every day and just practice this every day, you'll get better at it. Does that all make sense, that the worry postponement thing? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you a document which is the worry postponement tool. So that will help, you don't have to remember all this, what I've said, it's all in there, and that will help you, it will help guide the process a wee bit for you. Okay. So we've spoke about the anxiety, we've spoke about the stress, we've spoke about what we can do in terms of what are healthy coping strategies. We've spoke about, you know, kind of bringing that soothe system in. What I want to talk about is levelling up. So we talked about the baseline of mental well-being, you know, the food, sleep, and mood. So this is the kind of mood part of the section, right? This is stuff you need to do in order to basically create what are your happy hormones. I'm going to move that wee chat over here. So these are the kind of the chemicals. So what we've talked about before was the stress hormone, cortisol, you know, adrenaline pumping through your body. If you start to do the other stuff, that reduces the soothe system's kicked in, right? So that's great. But I quite like to feel quite happy as well, and feel a wee bit kind of, my mood is stable, it's not down, I don't feel depressed, I feel good, I feel happy, I feel joyful. Linda's got lots of notes, brilliant. I'm really glad this information is landing and it's making sense to everybody, which is great. These 4 happy hormones are crucial for your mental well-being and stability. And how you derive them out of the brain, how you get them to produce in the brain. So for example, if you think about like serotonin, so if you take antidepressants, it's because you're not producing enough serotonin in your brain. And I'm absolutely not dissing medication by any stretch of the imagination, because some people don't produce enough serotonin, but there is things you can do. So for example, purposeful activity creates serotonin, and also there's some elements of diet and stuff as well in there. But this is the base model, right? So we spoke baseline, you know, what you drink, eat, sleep, exercise. But the ACE, the achievement, the connection with others and enjoyment, there where your happy hormones live. So this is the next level of bringing in some good stuff and bringing in some happiness and bringing in some joy. And this is science, this is, you know, fact. This isn't, again, my opinion. This is well documented, well researched information in terms of how you get happy, basically. So again, life is totally up in the air. Lots of changes will be at play. So some of this stuff's going to be difficult or different for you, which is maybe why people are noticing sort of like dips in their moods and stuff like that. But if you think about, you know, your dopamine, right? So that's like your reward chemical. So that's what people, when they're taking drugs and they're, when they're kind of doing some dangerous activities, they're chasing dopamine hits. This is a healthy way to get your dopamine hit, is, you know, through your kind of work, through your chores, through your studying, right? So you get a sense of kind of achievement when you know, get through a goal and you do that, and that gives you a wee reward, you get a wee hit and it makes you feel good. So, you know, that's why I do all of them things every day, you know, like I do a wee bit of studying, I do a wee bit of chores, less chores, I'm not a big fan of cleaning. but and the work side of it, and that's why people become like workaholics, because they're constantly getting dopamine hits as well. So it's all about balance. Connecting with others. Now I want you to touch on this because I know this is going to be hard one for a lot of folk just now. There's, you know, everybody's experiencing loss of some kind, whether they've lost a person in their life, but also we've lost our kind of ability to kind of sit down face to face, or to have a hug, or and that connection with others is what releases the hormone, releases oxytocin. So that's your love hormone. That's that, like when you have a baby, and that absolute adoration that you feel. But you get that same hit when you connect with other people. I don't know what the evidence suggests, whether you can do this digitally and you still get an oxytocin hit. I think there's an element of it, but I certainly noticed that's one of the things that I struggle with. And that's why I actually created this community, because I thought, well, I really, really want to be able to kind of help people connect with each other. And as much as tonight, you know, I've kind of spoke, I think it's worthwhile exploring at some point, you know, how do we make the collective feel like a collection of people? But I wanted to create a base of safety for that first, so that people kind of know what they were, you know, what was expected, and they didn't feel thrown in at the deep end. But the connection with others is really important. So if you are lacking, oh, I'm a hugger too, yes. If you're lacking in that, you know, if you've got somebody at home, if you've got an animal, you've got a pet, you know, really utilise that. But see if you can, give yourself a wee hug, right? Just give yourself a wee hug just now. And that is enough. Like, you'll get, that gives you like a good wee hit of oxytocin as well. Because self-love is just as important as everybody else. So connecting to self as well as connecting to others. And then having fun, finding your joy. Last, I don't know if there's any people that I'm friends with still on here, but I learned to play the keyboard. I learned to play my daughter Happy Birthday a couple of weeks ago, and what a laugh I had. And I just had such fun, and it was just silliness, and it was just pure pleasure, and it wasn't, you know, to become, you know, a world class piano player. It was just silly and fun, and I absolutely loved it. And at times like this, finding things that you enjoy, that make you smile, that make you laugh, that you know, if it's a comedy show, or whatever that might be for you, do that. So baseline, taking care of your body. Level up, taking care of your soothe system. Level up again, take care of your happy hormones, right, by achieving, by connecting, by enjoying. I recognise there is a lot of information in this, and this is what I would say, like a top line today, and each week we just delve a wee bit deeper and a wee bit deeper. All right, so that is a little bit, oh, how are we doing for time? It's not bad, is it? So next week, we are going to just delve a wee bit deeper into this. So I'm going to send you an email with the attachment for the tool that we've learned this week. There is going to be a collective Facebook page. I don't know if everybody's on Facebook, but there'll be a group page on Facebook where content will be shared. What I originally wanted to create was a web page with all the videos on it. I haven't quite mastered how to do that yet, so I think I'll share them on the collective for people who have missed it on the Facebook page. If you're not on Facebook, maybe drop me an email, and I'll see if I can figure out something else. I'll get better at this, you know, is this the first time I've done it as well, but from a digital point of view. So I'm just going to stop this wee share here and just grab some feedback. Oh, look, everybody's still here. That's wonderful. Thank you for participating and being here tonight. I really appreciate it. And I'd said to, I think it was Nikki actually, that, you know, when I started off, you know, when I came up with the kind of concept, and it didn't fly, you know, not a lot of people signed up to it. And I was like, oh, am I doing something wrong, or is this not really kind of, you know, interesting for people, or people are not really wanting that? But listen, you know, I'm going to keep doing this because I think this stuff is really important, and not everybody gets an opportunity to have this level of information shared with them and engaged with them. So I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love any kind of feedback, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you'd like to see more of. And you know, you're just as important part of this collective as everybody else, and including me as well. So if I can share something specific that might help you, I mean, I'm going to try and read through all the comments. Let's see. Right, okay, so yeah, absolutely, Linda, that is, but again, you know, working towards that, um, you know, improving your serotonin situation, not just obviously from a chemical point of view, but absolutely, you know, that's needed. Oh, that's kind of you guys. That's brilliant. Thanks, Michelle. So, has anybody got any questions? I wonder if you'll ponder this and then you might have questions next week. So what we could maybe do is do like a wee Q&A next week, or if somebody's got a particular difficulty. I don't know how that is. I don't know who these all these extra people are, but which is great. Is that the wine? Michelle's saying, is that the wine? A pint of wine? Yes. I wish. Um, No, I've really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed starting this collective. And what would be amazing is if you share this with your pals and we get more people joined in and more people signed in. And you've now got a kind of experience of what this is like. And if you've enjoyed it, share this with other people. Do you know what I mean? I know my hair is lovely, and I actually curled it tonight. I thought I'd totally make an effort, and it was nice to get my hair and my makeup all put on. But my daughter's not here, so I didn't get to do my proper, like, she gives you the contour and all that, you know, makes you look amazing. Whereas I just slap it on. But yeah, thanks. That was kind of you. Let's see, right? So I've got something in the Q&A. How can you tell the difference? How can you tell the difference between worrying and preparing for different scenarios? Okay, so essentially, when you're worrying, what you want to notice in the thought is this something that I can do something about? That's the question you want to ask. So when you start to notice the worrying, is it something that I can do something about? So when you're looking at different scenarios, that's hypothetical worrying. If they're not real life events, if they're in the future. Does that make sense, Amanda? Oh, it said answer live. I don't know if you heard me and did it. I don't know if I did that right, but I think I did. Yep, right. So does that make sense? Listen, and as I said, this is all new stuff, so don't give yourself, you know, don't expect too much. These are new tools, new experiences. I've been at this a really long time, so you know I had to really kind of rein myself back in to kind of start from the beginning and give these tools that hopefully will help you. Let's see. So I think that's it. Anybody else get any other questions before I log off? Brilliant. No questions. So what will happen? Oh, lovely. Thank you, Linda. I'll message you about that separately. Yeah, the topic for next week, Michelle, great question. What we're going to do is really delve into the thoughts a wee bit more. So, like, you know, we talked about worrying as a type of thought, but there's lots of different types of thoughts, and some of them are useful and some of them are not. These 70,000 thoughts we have a day are not always constructive, and we're not always aware. So there's, you know, stuff happening in our subconscious mind that is connected to all sorts of really interesting, fascinating stuff about yourself that you're going to love to learn. So we're just going to do a bit at a time. Yeah, let's cover the crazy thoughts. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. We're going to have a lot of fun discovering the type of thinkers we are. I'm sure you're going to really enjoy it. So I think what I'll do is I'll send out the same kind of process again as a Zoom webinar. Just as we've been. I think this has worked actually quite well for now. Maybe what we can do as a separate thing is meet as a group, or you know, where we're all on video. I'll maybe gauge and see how comfortable people are with that. But yeah, so that'll be us until next week, and I'm going to email you over the worksheet, some links to different things, and I think what I'll try and do is take the safe place recording out of the video and maybe send that to you separately. I'll see if I can get all technological right. But I'll do that. I'll probably get something over at some point tomorrow. So lovely to have you. Thank you for your support, and I'll look forward to next week unless there's any more questions. Oh, brilliant. Thank you, Kate. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate it. You take care of yourselves.